Should I start going live a little bit earlier than 10 and then start reading at 10? That's probably not a bad idea. But we're here, another Revenge of the Sith live reading. How's it going, everybody? Hope you're having a good morning if you decide to stay. Well, I hope you're having a good morning if you don't either. But we're going to be jumping in. We're up to Chapter 5 of Revenge of the Sith by Matthew Stover. Let's see, I want to double check the recording I had there is Chapter 3, because, yeah, we are up to a big piece of General Grievous. Count Dooku has just been executed, as expected. Let's see, where is... Is this Chapter 1? Did I read all this in one burst? Oof. See. So yeah, we're going to be jumping into Chapter 5. I'm double checking. I have a recording saved to my phone that I think is Chapter 3, but I was struggling to find just the point where I said it. And so I'm just looking for a single line about Dooku fighting the Jedi with his pants on fire, because that was what I came up to by chance. Welcome, everybody. How you doing? I figure we'll start reading around like 10:08, 10:09. I suppose I could round it to 10:10. That's a much nicer number. But yeah, we're still on the invisible hand, still fighting not fighting our Sith Lord anymore. Our Sith Lord has recently had his head removed from his shoulders, but we're fighting everyone else around there. How's it going, Goob? Welcome. Howdy, everybody. Let's see. Yeah, I cannot find... I'm going to have to just double check that video clip manually. Because yeah, Chapter 5 is called Grievous. Oh. I feel like it's been forever since we did a reading. I don't know, did I do last week? Maybe it's just that it was shorter than usual. Chapter 4 is a bit of a brisk one, and I think 5 is similar. I think we'll probably only be here for a half hour or so today. But nothing wrong with a shorter chapter. You know, you like the long ones and the short ones. Thank you for supporting Blind Barbers. I think it looks pretty good. I think you did a good job. Read me Brotherhood. I don't know that I would do any book other than Revenge of the Sith. I mean, maybe if people start really wanting other books, but I don't know that I'd jump to Brotherhood. Brotherhood was not among my favorite novels. I didn't hate it or anything, but there were definitely just some things that irked me. So I'd probably go for something like by Timothy Zahner, something like that if I were to do a second book. Do you think Mandalorian and Grogu will be the best movie of 2026? Strongly doubt it. I'm hoping I'll like it, but I do not anticipate Oscar buzz. Oh, let's see, you're a sucker for Obi Annie books. You know, I can get that. And that was definitely, like, I'm trying to remember. I didn't dislike their back and forth in it. I thought that was pretty solid. I liked the ways that it tied into Revenge of the Sith. I think that that's hilarious. You know, just straight up, we're going to pretend that Revenge of the Sith is still canon. But there were some things about Nemoidia that felt weird. Oh, let's see. Hi, I've just come out of the hospital, and you're reading Revenge of the Sith, best novel of the prequel films. I am, and wow, I hope you're doing all right. Glad to hear you're out of the hospital, at least. But yes, I'm reading not only the best novelization of the prequel films, I would say the best Star Wars novel, period. I know a lot of people's alternative is Traitor, also by Matthew Stover, and that may be. I have not read New Jedi Order yet, so I can't refute that, but for me, Revenge of the Sith is just near perfect. Let's see, Brotherhood was weird because you liked Obi-Wan parts, but reading Anakin's chapters. Yeah, the whole thing with Mill felt a little shoehorned in. You know, the idea that he had another young girl that he was very attached to, like, is Anakin just going to be picking up Padawans for 3 years so that we can feel bad about a whole lot of kids? I don't even know, did Mill die? Is she okay? I have no idea. Live Fest created a treasure box. What does that mean? I hope that's... Anyone see any hidden treasure? Is it around me? Oh, hello. Are we getting a visitor for this live? Oh, hi. Are you on screen? Yeah, howdy. Howdy, Megan. Welcome. Ooh. Do you like Revenge of the Sith? Would you execute Order 66? Little Calypso. Oh, what a precious. Do you prefer original characters from the books and novels or movie characters in novel? That's so funny. I just made a video the other day answering that exact question. To me, it's not really important if they're from the movies or the books, just if they're well done in the context they're in, you know? If it's a movie character and they're bad, I'm going to dislike it more than if it was just a character I didn't like, you know? But I do enjoy seeing, like, Luke and Leia in books and all, but some of my favorites are books like Thrawn, which is almost 100% original characters. And the recurring characters I didn't particularly care about, like Arinda Price. Let's see, Corbin, who is this imposter? It's me! I've just got a little trim. I gotta get my hair cut eventually, and we're not going full Anakin around here. You're an Anakin fan through and through. You'll watch all the Padawans suffer. Yeah, that's his whole deal. And you're live early. I always go live around 10 for the live readings. These are a little morning book club. You have a question. Do the NeoPixel and RGB sabers sound the same? No, they usually sound pretty different. NeoPixel sabers have a much more rich and consistent sound. They sound like exactly what you want a lightsaber to sound like, whereas an RGB will sound kind of like a cheaper version. They're a little bit, you know, I don't know what the word I'm looking for is. I'm not a sound engineer, but it's a little bit more echoey, a little bit more sort of plastic. They don't sound terrible or anything, but they sound about like those old lightsabers that, like, you swish it out and click it on, and it's like, it makes a lightsaber sound, but it's not great. Obi-Wan after the Attack of the Clones haircut. Oh, exactly. The mullet got to be too much. Missy, you are just a menace. Let's see. Still recovering? You're hoping 2026 will be better. I hope so, too. I hope you recover nicely. What are you thinking about Resident Evil Requiem? I unfortunately think nothing. I have never played a Resident Evil game. And the Acolyte was and is overhated. Absolutely. Pretty much any Star Wars project you can think of is overhated, with the maybe sole exception of nowadays some of the prequels. If anything, they're a little bit underhated these days. I mean, they shouldn't be hated. They should be criticized, and people pretend that they don't have flaws, and that's frustrating. But Star Wars, it incites strong emotions, and so whenever anything is flawed, it gets more hate than is actually justified by its quality. Let's see, Mask of Fear, Rebel Rising, Lost Stars. Is this like your top 3? Let's see, the gimmick features on a lot of sabers are so annoying to work around. Oh, they can be a bit tricky. And let's see, you're talking about a couple of the new games. Yeah, the Old Republic game. Like, both of them, all we've got are cinematics, so I don't want to get too excited. I've learned my lesson from Eclipse and, you know, the Knights of the Old Republic remake, but I hope that they come out because it seems cool. I would love to get a full pod racing game again. I would love to get a new Old Republic game. Ooh, could Second Kitty be coming over? He's looking. But we don't want to 10 All right, it's 10:10. I'd say it's about time we hop in. How y'all feel about that? Because we're going to be jumping into Chapter 5, Grievous. Let me sit up for proper diaphragm support. Let's see. Prequels are getting leg glaze. Yeah. I do like getting more of Hayden and Ewan. They're both great. And you like female main characters and world building. Those are always good traits as well. I'd say, like, I mean, I love a male main character too, but female, it gives the suggestion that, like, this person had to fight for it, and that usually results in something pretty good. Especially, like, anyone Claudia Gray writes. Oh, incredible. All right, let's hop in. The ARC 170s of Squad 7 had joined the V-Wings of Squad 4 in swarming the remaining Vulture fighters that had screened the immense Trade Federation flagship Invisible Hand. Clone pilots destroyed droid after droid with machine-like precision of their own. When the last of the Vultures had been converted to an expanding globe of superheated gas, the clone fighters peeled away, leaving Invisible Hand exposed to the full fire of Home Fleet Strike Group 5. 3 Carrack-class light cruisers, Integrity, Indomitable, and Perseverance, in support of the dreadnought Mass Ramdar. Strike Group 5 had deployed in a triangle around Mass Ramdar, maintaining a higher orbit to pin Invisible Hand deep in Coruscant's gravity well. Turbo lasers blasted against Invisible Hand's faltering shields, but the flagship was as good as it got. But the flagship was giving as good as it got. Mass Ramdar had sustained so much damage already that it was little more than a target to absorb the Hand's return fire, and Indomitable was only a shell, most of its crew dead or evacuated, being run remotely by its commander and bridge crew. It swung unsteadily through the Hand's vector cone of escape routes to block any attempt to run up toward jump. As its shields finally failed, Invisible Hand began to roll, whirling like a bullet from a rifled slug thrower, trailing spiral jets of crystallizing gas that gushed from multiple hull ruptures. The rolling picked up speed, breaking the targeting locks of the ship's Republic adversaries. Unable to pound the same point again and again, their turbo lasers weren't powerful enough to breach the Hand's heavy armor directly. Their tracking points became rings that circled the ship, chewing gradually into the hull in tightening garrotes of fire. On the Hand's bridge, overheated Nemoidians were strapped into their battle stations in full crash webbing. The air reeked of burning metal and the funk of reptilian stress hormones, and the erratically shifting gravity threatened to add a sharper stench. The faces of several of the bridge officers had already paled from healthy gray-green to nauseated pink. The sole being on the bridge who was not strapped into a chair stalked from one side to the other, floor-length cape draped over shoulders angular as exposed bone. He ignored the jolts of impact and was unaffected by the swirl of unpredictable gravity as he paced the deck with metal-on-metal clanks. He walked on taloned creations of magnetized duranium, jointed to grab and crush like the feet of a Ratixan blood eagle. His expression could not be read. His face was a mask of bleached ceramic armorplast, stylized to evoke a humanoid skull, but the pure venom in the voice that hissed through the mask's electrosonic vocabulator made up for it. "Either get the gravity generators calibrated, or disable them altogether," he snarled at a blue-scanned image of a cringing Nemoidian engineer. "If this continues, you won't live long enough to be killed by the Republic." But, sir, it's really up to the repair droids. And because they are droids, it's useless to threaten them. So I am threatening you. Understand? He turned away before the stammering engineer could summon a reply. The hand he extended toward the forward view screen wore a jointed gauntlet of armorplast fused to its bones of duranium alloy. "Concentrate fire on Indomitable," he told the senior gunnery officer. "All batteries at maximum. Fire for effect. Blast that Hulk out of space, and we'll make a hyperspace jump through its wreckage." "But the forward towers are already overloading, sir." The officer's voice trembled on the edge of panic. "They'll be at critical failure in less than a minute." "Burn them out." "But, sir, once they're gone..." The rest of the senior gunnery officer's objection was lost in the wetly final crunching sound his face made under the impact of an armorplast fist. That same fist opened, seized the collar of the officer's uniform, and yanked his corpse out of the chair, ripping the crash webbing free along with it. An expressionless skull face turned toward the junior gunnery officer. "Congratulations on your promotion. Take your post." "Yes, sir." The newly promoted senior gunnery officer's hands shook so badly he could barely unbuckle his crash web, and his face had gone deathly pink. "Do you understand your orders? Do you have any objections?" "Very well, then," General Grievous said, with flat, impenetrable calm. "Carry on." Let's see, your Nemoidian voice is top-notch. Thank you. No comments on the Grievous, though? Grievous is so tough because there's so much post-processing on it. Let's see. Thank you so much, AJ, for the follow. Let's see. In the Acolyte, we see the Star Wars uniform, which is similar to what Ben wore when hiding. Oh, yeah, just the general robes. I love this opening with Grievous. They make him so intimidating in a way that he doesn't quite match in the movie. I love, there's an author note from Stover. "Grievous's cough was new to me when I saw the finished film. I've always guessed Mr. Lucas wrote it as an echo of a certain other legendary villain with breathing trouble. Not to mention a, let's say, similarity in their command styles." Isn't that funny? Just a proclivity for killing their underlings. You heard Revenge of the Sith book was more emotional. You heard right. It's phenomenal. And what chapter are we on? We're on chapter 5, Grievous. "Excuse me, miss. Don't bite me." All right. Oh, here's the good stuff. "This is General Grievous. Durasteel, ceramic armor-plast-plated duranium, electrodrivers, and crystal circuitry. Within them, the remnants of a living being. He doesn't breathe. He doesn't eat. He cannot laugh, and he does not cry. A lifetime ago, he was an organic sentient being. A lifetime ago, he had friends, a family, an occupation. A lifetime ago, he had things to love and things to fear. Now he has none of these. Instead, he has purpose. It's built into him. He is built to intimidate. The resemblance to a human skeleton melded with limbs styled after the legendary Krath war droids is entirely intentional. It is a face and form born of childhood's infinite nightmares. He is built to dominate. The ceramic armor-plast plates protecting limbs and torso and face can stop a burst from a starfighter's laser cannon. Those indestructible arms are 10 times stronger than human and move with the blurring speed of electronic reflexes. He is built to eradicate. Those human-sized hands have human-sized fingers for exactly one reason: to hold a lightsaber. 4 of them hang inside his cloak. He has never constructed a lightsaber. He has never bought one, nor has he recovered one that was lost. Each and all he has taken from the hands of dead Jedi that he has killed. Personally. He has many, many such trophies. The 4 he carries with him are his particular favorites. One belonged to the interminable Kukruk, whom he had bested at Hypori. Another to the Varan-T's Jedi Jamar, who'd fallen at Vandos. The other 2 had been created by Puroth and Nistamal, whom Grievous had slaughtered together on the flame-grass plains of Torvaskel, so that each would know the other's death as well as their own. These are murders he recalls with so much pleasure that touching these souvenirs with his hands of armor-plast and durasteel brings him something resembling joy. But only resembling. He remembers joy. He remembers anger and frustration. He remembers grief and sorrow. He doesn't actually feel any of them. Not anymore. He's not designed for it. Oh, isn't that shit good? Oh my god, it's the best. Oh, thank you, the hashtagging slasher, for the follow. And yeah, we got a Hypori mention. There's all sorts of EU nods throughout this. It's great. Stover said that, yeah, the way he wanted it to feel like the culmination of everything that had been written up to that point. And boy, did he achieve it. That's some good writing, but... Ooh, what's that bug gonna fall with? Them's fighting words. Let's go. White-hot sparks zipped and crackled through the smoke that billowed across the turbolift lobby. Over Anakin's shoulder, the unconscious Jedi Master wheezed faintly. Beside his other shoulder, Palpatine coughed harshly into the sleeve of his robe, held over his face for protection from caustic combustion products of the overloading circuitry. R2! Anakin shook his comlink sharply. The blasted thing had been on the blink ever since Obi-Wan had stepped on it during one of the turbolift fights. R2, do you copy? I need you to activate... The smoke was so thick he could barely make out the numerals on the code plate. Elevator 3224. 3224, do you copy? The comlink emitted a fading thweep that might have been an acknowledgement, and the doors slid apart. But before Anakin could carry Obi-Wan through, the turbolift pod shot upward, and the artificial gravity vector shifted again, throwing him and his partner into a heap next to Palpatine in the lobby's opposite corner. Palpatine was struggling to rise, still coughing, sounding weak. Anakin let the Force lift Obi-Wan back to his shoulder, then picked himself up. Perhaps you should stay down, sir, he said to the Chancellor. The gravity swings are getting worse. Palpatine nodded. But Anakin... Anakin looked up. The turbolift doors still stood open. Wait here, sir. He opened himself more fully to the Force, and in his mind placed himself and Obi-Wan balanced on the edge of the open doorway above. Holding this image, he leapt, and the Force made his intention into reality. His leap carried him and the unconscious Jedi Master precisely to the rim. The altered gravitic vector had made the turbolift shaft into a horizontal hallway of unlit durasteel, laser straight, shrinking into darkness. Anakin was familiar with the specs for Trade Federation command cruisers. The angled conning spire was some 300 meters long. As it stood, they could walk it in 2 or 3 minutes. But if the wrong gravity shift were to catch them inside the shaft... He shook his head, grimly calculating the odds. We'll have to be fast. He glanced back over his shoulder, down at Palpatine, who still huddled below. Are you all right, Chancellor? Are you well enough to run? The Supreme Chancellor finally rose, patting his robes in a futile attempt to dust them off. I haven't run since I was a boy on Naboo. It's never too late to start getting into shape. Anakin reached through the Force to give Palpatine a little help in clambering up to the open doorway. There are light shuttles on the hangar deck. We can be there in 5 minutes. Let's see, I'm going to take a pause there and get a sip. Oh, Darth Sion, welcome back. For anyone who missed Darth Sion's last appearance, he asked how we felt about Star Wars Theory, and after we said that Theory encourages his fans to brigade and harass people, Sion decided to start brigading and harassing me. And you appear to be doing the same again now, so if you want anyone to change their minds on Star Wars Theory, you should stop acting like exactly what we say Star Wars Theory makes his fans act like. Let's see. Real Alf, that kind of changes what I thought he was. Grievous? What did you think he was? Because that's who he is. I mean, you know, the emotionless is a little bit different from some of his other appearances, but generally he is supposed to feel less emotion than a person. You know, it's a thing in Star Wars somewhat problematically, but like once you get to Grievous's point, I'm fine with it, where the more machine you are, the more of you that's been replaced with robot, the less your humanity shines through. You know, that's why Obi-Wan says it about Vader. He's more machine now than man. You know, most people tend to think that it doesn't necessarily impact you if you have like a single prosthetic hand or anything, but when you're Grievous level, it gets, you know, overwhelming. Who's harassing you? Let me at him. Oh, it's Darth Sion. Hopefully, you know, hey, he's stopped commenting. Maybe he'll settle down and maybe stop proving everyone right about Star Wars Theory. You're not complaining more, realizing, oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, you know, he's very low, like, he is an inhuman, because he also isn't human. He's Kalish. But, like, yeah, he's, you know, he's meant to be this robotic monster. Palpatine and Dooku created him to be the scapegoat of the Clone Wars, a horrific android monster that they could pin all their war crimes on. Let's see, rate my profile picture. Looks good. There is a horror book in Star Wars version of the cyborgs. Interesting. Like, are you saying there is one that exists? Because I don't know about it. Or are you saying they could absolutely do a horror book on their cyborgs? Because that's absolutely true. You know, a lot of people say they want like a horror story about Vader. I say if you're gonna go with either of them, go Grievous. Because Vader, you don't want him to do too much like truly obscenely evil. Because he does still have to be a good guy eventually. Grievous, no such limit. Grievous could rip someone limb from limb, and it's like, oh, that just makes Revenge of the Sith even more fun. Your son just got his Batu lightsaber. Hell yeah, nice. Okay, there's a potential for a horror book. Yes, absolutely. Like, just someone, becoming more and more machine. I'd love it. All right, let's jump back in. Once Palpatine was safely within the shaft hall, Anakin said, "Follow me," and turned to go, but the Chancellor stopped him with a hand on his arm. "Anakin, wait. We need to get to the bridge." Through an entire ship full of combat droids? Not likely. "The hangar deck's right below. Well, beside us now. It's our best chance." "But the bridge. Grievous is there." Now, Anakin did stop. Grievous, the most prolific slaughterer of Jedi since Dirge. In all the excitement, Anakin had entirely forgotten that the bio-droid general was aboard. "You've defeated Dooku," Palpatine said. "Capture Grievous, and you will have dealt a wound from which the Separatists may never recover." Anakin thought blankly. I could do it. He had dreamed of capturing Grievous ever since Moonalinst, and now the general was close. So close Anakin could practically smell him, and Anakin had never felt so powerful. The Force was with him today in ways more potent than he had ever experienced. "Think of it, Anakin." Palpatine stood close by his shoulder, opposite to Obi-Wan, so close he needed only to whisper. Oh, pardon me. "You have destroyed their political head. Take their military commander, and you will have practically won the war. Single-handed. Who else could do that, Anakin? Yoda? Mace Windu? They couldn't even capture Dooku. Who would have a chance against Grievous if not Anakin Skywalker? The Jedi have never faced a crisis like the Clone Wars, but they have also never had a hero like you. You can save them. You can save everyone." Anakin jerked, startled. He turned a sharp glance toward Palpatine. The way he said that, like a voice out of his dreams. "That's..." Anakin tried to laugh. It came out a little shaky. "That's not what Obi-Wan keeps telling me." "Forget Obi-Wan," Palpatine said. "He has no idea how powerful you truly are. Use your power, Anakin. Save the Republic." Anakin could see it, vivid as a HoloNet feature. Arriving at the Senate with Grievous in electrobonds, standing modestly aside as Palpatine announced the end of the war, returning to the temple, to the council chamber, where finally, after all this time, there would be a chair waiting just for him. They could hardly refuse him mastership now, after he had won the war for them. But then, Obi-Wan shifted on his shoulder, moaning faintly, and Anakin snapped back to reality. "No," he said. "Sorry, Chancellor. My orders are clear. This is a rescue mission. Your safety is my only priority." "I will never be safe while Grievous lives," Palpatine countered. "Master Kenobi will recover at any moment. Leave him here with me. He can see me safely to the hangar deck. Go for the general." I would like to, sir, but I can make it an order, Anakin." "With respect, sir, no, you can't. My orders come from the Jedi Council, and the Council's orders come from the Senate. You have no direct authority." The Chancellor's face darkened. "That may change." Anakin nodded. "And perhaps it should, sir. But until it does, we'll do things my way. Let's go." God, listen to that. Oh, that may change. Yeah, I bet it will, won't it? Boo, this sucks. Someone doesn't know Kino. Someone doesn't know a quality book when they hear it. Revenge of the Sith is the best Star Wars book to date. It's a masterpiece. And let's see, Dan, he got the Reclaimed and Reforged saber. Nice. I went with the same set. It's gorgeous. I never really was won over by any of the other ones, but that one is phenomenal. Mace Windu against Dooku would be such a cool fight. I also wish we had gotten it. Maybe, like, they could have them, spar or something during their time at the Jedi Order. They knew each other. Absolute peak book. Hell yeah, it is. All right. Sir, the thin voice of the comm officer interrupted Grievous's pacing. We are being hailed by integrity, sir. They propose a ceasefire. Dark yellow eyes squinted through the skull mask at the tactical displays. A pause in the combat would allow Invisible Hand's turbolaser batteries to cool and give the engineers a chance to get the gravity generators under control. Acknowledge receipt of transmission. Stand by to cease fire. Standing by, sir. The gunnery officer was still shaking. Cease fire. The lances of energy that had joined the hand to the home fleet strike force melted away. Further transmission, sir. It's Integrity's commander. Grievous nodded. Initiate. A ghostly image built itself above the bridge's ship-to-ship hologenerator. A young human male of distinctly average height and build, wearing the uniform of lieutenant commander. The only thing distinctive about his otherwise rather bland features was the calm confidence in his eyes. General Grievous, the young man said briskly, I am Lieutenant Commander Lorth Nida of RSS Integrity. At my request, my superiors have consented to offer you the chance to surrender your ship, sir. Surrender? Grievous's vocabulator produced a very creditable reproduction of a snort. Preposterous! Please give this offer careful deliberation, General, as it will not be repeated. Consider the lives of your crew. Grievous cast an icy glance around his bridge full of craven Nemoidians. Why should I? The young man did not look surprised, though he did show a trace of sadness. Is this your reply, then? Not at all! Grievous drew himself up. By straightening the angles of his levered joints, he could add half a meter to his already imposing height. I have a counter-offer. Maintain your ceasefire, move that hulk Indomitable out of my way, and withdraw to a minimum range of 50 kilometers until this ship achieves hyperspace jump. If I may use your word, sir, preposterous. Tell these superiors of yours that if my demands are not met within 10 minutes, I will personally disembowel Supreme Chancellor Palpatine live on the HoloNet. Am I understood? The young officer took this without a blink. Ah, the Chancellor is aboard your ship, then. He is. Your pathetic Jedi so-called heroes have failed. They are dead, and Palpatine remains in my hands. Ah, the young officer repeated. So you will, of course, allow me to speak with him. To, reassure my superiors that you are not simply, well, to put it charitably, bluffing. I would not lower myself to lie to the likes of you, Grievous turned on the comm officer. Pachin Count Dooku. The comm officer stroked his screen, then shook his head. He's not responding, sir. Grievous shook his head disgustedly. Just show the Chancellor, then. Bring up my quarters on the security screen. The security officer stroked his own screen and made a choking sound. Sir? What are you waiting for? Bring it up! He'd gone as pink as the gunner. Perhaps you should have a look first, sir. The plain urgency in his tone brought Grievous to his side without another word. The general bent over the screen that showed the view inside his quarters and found himself looking at a jumbled piles of energy-sheared wreckage surrounding the empty shape of the general's chair. And that looked like it could have been a body draped in a cape of armor weave. Grievous turned back toward the intership holocom. The Chancellor is indisposed. Ah, I see. Grievous suspected that the young officer saw entirely too well. I assure you, I do not require your assurance, General. You have the same amount of time you offered us. 10 minutes from now, I will have either your surrender or confirmation that Supreme Chancellor Palpatine is alive, unharmed, and present, or Invisible Hand will be destroyed. Wait, you can't simply... 10 minutes, General. Nita out. When Grievous turned to the bridge security officer, his mask was blankly expressionless as ever, but he made up for it with the open murder in his voice. Dooku is dead, and the Jedi are loose. They have the Chancellor. Find them and bring them to me. His armor-plast fingers curled into a fist that crashed down on the security console so hard the entire thing collapsed in a sparking, smoking ruin. Find them! And there we are. That is actually Saw Grievous. Thank you. He's the toughest one to do, and he's wreaking havoc on my throat. But that's the end of Chapter 5 there, and I think, yeah, Chapter 6 is a bit of a long one, so I don't know that I want to continue into that. That may be it for today. Another little shorter one. Let's see, a full-on duel between Windu and Obi-Wan would have been fire. That would also be a good one. I'd love, more time with Dooku and Windu, like, just sparring with people in general. Like, it's a good thing to add in any book, because it's just fun seeing the best of the best at their craft. I missed, and I wanted to go back to it. Let's see, what is it? There are a couple of very good authors' notes, one of which talking about the inclusion of Commander Nita from... which one is Nita in? He's in Return of the Jedi? Where's Nita? No, he's in Empire. He's the one who survives Vader's continuous murdering of subordinates. Congratulations on your promotion, Captain Nita. Which is just a delightful little tie-in. But then the other one I want to mention, when Palpatine gets him real close on Anakin and starts whispering in his ear, you could go win the war. Leave Obi-Wan with me. He'll be totally safe. Stover points out that he very intentionally drew attention to the fact that Palpatine is over one of Anakin's shoulders and Obi-Wan is draped over the other. Angel on one shoulder, devil on the other, which is absolutely delightful. Let's see, what's that clone figure behind you? Let's see. Up top is Rex visible? Yeah. My boy, my number one clone, one of my all-time favorite characters, Captain Rex. Absolute best. And yeah, the Black Series figure of him is really nice. This is the San Diego Comic-Con limited edition one from years and years ago. But, Rex appearance. Yeah, Rex, God, when this was written, Rex didn't exist. Can you believe that? Hadn't even added Rex yet. I think there are even some references to Alpha in here. But, look at him. It's such a nice figure. And it's weathered in a way that most clone figures aren't these days. They get pretty squeaky clean armor, but Rex gets to be a little bit dirty. And he's even got the removable helmet. I've always thought it was weird that Rex is blonde. I like, actually, that Omega is blonde now, too, implying that Rex just kind of came out naturally blonde, as opposed to Captain Rex taking the time to dye his hair, or, like, bleach it. I guess you could just say that, yeah, Jango has black hair, but, like, maybe his mother had blonde hair, and so every once in a while there's a little mutation in one of the clones that gives them the blonde gene. Rex and Omega in a very exclusive club. Let's pop him back there. But yeah, how's about that for Chapter 5? Oh, this book is good. Even as I'm reading through it, it's just, I'm delighted to be back. Yeah, bleached hair is so funny. And yeah, it's exactly Rex doing his hair routine in the middle of a trench, head covered in foil. Like, it's a goofy visual, and I'm glad that at least now we can just kind of headcanon that, no, yeah, it's just, he happened to come out that way. Oh. But yeah, next we'll be coming up on Chapter 6. What's next? They're gonna get captured by Grievous, aren't they? Because, yeah, that hasn't actually happened yet. There's a lot of this book that is the Invisible Hand. It is a big chunk of the novel. because, the author talked about, like, when he read the script, it's like 40 pages of the script. It just happens that they shot it to be very quick. Oh, you think Django's sister was blonde in one of the comics? Interesting. I'm going to have to check that out. Yeah, Hardcase does Rex's hair. And I guess, as he got older, he got too lazy because he eventually just settles into bald. He's like, I'm not going back to black hair. So we're either bald or blonde. Those are the two options. Thank you for the follow, Misha. I hope you'll join us for our next Revenge of the Sith live reading. We do this every week at 10 Eastern Time on Sundays. Although we've had some turbulence with that the last few, but we should be getting back into consistency. Let's see, Ahsoka helps with the bleaching. Oh, Ahsoka would love to help him with the bleaching. If Ahsoka found out that they would let her do their hair, I think she would be super stoked. Back when she was young and had personality. But yeah, I think that'll about do it for today. We're another chapter in. I gotta go and upload the rest of these readings to YouTube because I have fallen way behind. I've only got chapter 1 on there. Merry Christmas, thank you, Corbin, and Merry Christmas to all of you who celebrate. To anyone who doesn't, I hope. Let's see. I think Hanukkah ended, so I hope anyone who celebrates had a happy Hanukkah. Am I right that it's over? But any other holidays, I hope you have a good one. Let's see. Is this something you do specifically for Revenge of the Sith, or do you do it every week otherwise too? I mean, I read Revenge of the Sith every week. I don't know if you're asking, like, do I go back and forth with other books, but we're just doing Revenge of the Sith. I talked a little bit at the beginning about this. Maybe I'll go on to another book after. I'd have to figure out, like, what I want to read next. Can I read A New Hope next? I've never actually done the A New Hope novelization. That would not be a bad idea. I've got my... This came out in, like, 1980-something, one of the original New Hope novelizations. And that would be a good one. I've never gotten around to any of the original trilogy, so I will keep that in mind. That's a good suggestion. But yeah, a happy solstice to you, Alf. A very Merry Christmas to everyone, and a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you all so much for joining me. Have a great one, and as always, may the Force be with you.